It's time for Mike Erie's show. He's ripping off Cullinane. He wants to find some fans to talk to, 'cause he's lonely on Saturdays. Mike was told to come up with something, and I guess this is what he did. We should give him some points for trying. Kirk wants to know what the point of this is. Just a warning for all you guys. You'll never get this hour back in your life. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you.
In times of struggle, it's important to have a completely unsteady hand on the wheel. And that's what I'm about to attempt right now. Everyone knows what's going on. If you're watching this, you saw Kirk's tweet today that he will be going into outpatient treatment for depression and suicidal thoughts. Kirk's a guy who's dealt with this a lot, and maybe the newer Minifans and Mincels aren't aware of that as much as the people who've been around for a while. But it's something that Kirk has struggled with for a long time. And, you know, I am certainly not an expert on Kirk. I'm not an expert on mental health. What I am an expert on is my experience in dealing with him and the show. And I've listened to everyone's suggestions of what I should do all day, and that's great. But what I wanted to make sure I did is talk about how important Kirk has been to me. And, you know, I've mentioned before my dealings with mental health issues. It's obvious on days like this that I don't deal with 1/100th of what Kirk does. I've never been in that sort of a place. And the word scary has been used a lot today. And it is scary in a lot of ways, and I get why people say that. But I think of it a lot differently. I kind of think of it as inspirational, which sounds strange, but the fact that Kirk is brave enough to not only talk about his issues, but to have such an understanding of them that he gets help and talks to people before it becomes dangerous to himself or his family or anyone else. I find that to be incredible, honestly, because there are times where I think of doing much worse, and I don't deal with, like I said, 1% of what Kirk deals with. And frankly, I find that amazing. And what Kirk has done for me in the last 8 months, particularly, I mean, I don't want to talk like the guy's dead, but he's doing well and he's getting himself help. So I don't want that to be the tone of the show, like this is a funeral for him. But I do think it's important to say that the guy has been unbelievable to me and changed my life forever and done things for me that no one else ever even for a second thought of. And, you know, with what's gone on in the last month, the idea that I contributed to in any way to his mental anguish, I guess I'll call it, will stick with me for a long time, and that's going to bother me for a long time. A lot of people have also brought up that in the last week, Kirk mentioned a couple times, you know, you don't know what I've been dealing with in the last month, and that's kind of an eye-opening thing to me. I was dismissive of it on the Discord, and that was wrong of me to kind of be like, well, it's not my place to ask him. I think this is kind of an example that you should never be afraid to ask people what they're going through or if they need to talk. Or I think I'm probably the last person Kirk would want to talk to in that situation. And luckily, it seems like he has family and doctors and things that he can talk to. But I think what this is more than anything is kind of an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. And a message I've got a lot today, and Steve had a great tweet, and I'll get to Steve in a second. I know a lot of people are hoping Steve's on this show tonight. He won't be. Not his fault. He had a prior engagement. Me and Steve are going to do some shows over the next week. I'll talk about that too in a minute. But Steve had a great tweet saying that, and this is true. And I heard that. I remember hearing this as a listener. And don't worry, guys, it's not going to be just me monologuing, but it is for a minute, and then we'll get to some other people. But when I was a listener of Kirk, I remember hearing the people would reach out to Kirk and say they were in a dark place. They didn't want to live anymore. They wanted to give up, whatever. And Kirk would reach out to them and help them and just talk to them and tell them what he's been through and where he got help and all of that. And I think I kind of sloughed it off or didn't appreciate it when I was just a listener. And now I've gotten a front row seat to a lot of people telling me, I was in this bad place and I reached out to Kirk and the guy took the time out to call. He's never met me in his life and he took the time out to call me. And think about this for a second. Intern Justin, now it's important to note that Kirk views Intern Justin as lower than the Reese's wrappers that he carelessly throws on the floor. Literal garbage is how he views Intern Justin. And when Justin went through his thing, Kirk reached out to him to say, to see how he was doing and everything. I think that speaks a lot to Kirk's character, obviously. And, so when you listen to a guy and you hear him rant and rave about certain things, it's very easy to say, oh, that guy's an asshole. And, hey, some of those characteristics are there, certainly. But as a man, he's shown me the unbelievable character he has. Again, I don't want to pretend I know him on a close personal level, but when I've seen him interact with his son, he's a tremendous father, and it's just unbelievable the guy that he is, and he's taught me a lot and helped my life. I mean, even the therapy thing with me was talked about a lot, and whatever you want to say about it, that's fine. But it's something I've genuinely wanted to do for years and kept putting off. My mother has tried to get me into therapy for years. My girlfriend has tried to get me into therapy more or less since we've been dating. And I just kept pushing it off. Kirk did it in one day. He was able to change my life in a lot of ways. And, that's already helped me and helped me get my shit together. And now I'm going to eye doctors and I haven't been drinking and all that. One day that took Kirk to say, hey, get your shit together. And he's just had an unbelievable impact on me. I know Steve would say the same thing. And what's really important to note is that the Minifans would say so much of the same stuff. And there were some people, some more aggressive than others, that told me not to do the show today or to do it just with Steve. I will be doing Mike and the Minifans. I'm going to bring some of the Minifans on in a second. That seems to be controversial with all you people on Twitter. But what I think is important to note is that Kirk told me to do Mike and the Minifans tonight. And he said, because I think the fans are going to want to talk about it. And so it's important to note that you guys are so important to him. Like, honestly, I think it's his kids and his family and then you. I believe he's never said that to me directly. That's what I believe, is that you guys are so important to him. And, the outpouring of love that you guys give when something like this comes up is unbelievable. And I think Kirk is very appreciative of that. And that's why I wanted to have the Minifans on, is because they are the fourth member of the show. And that might sound corny to say, but you guys really are, whether it's contributing, parody songs or prank calls or the goofy shit that we do, or if it's selling out the Wilbur in 2 shows in 9 minutes, or driving up to Madawaska. Like, you guys are an unbelievable part of the show. And I think if some of you want to come on and give your thoughts about this, I don't really give a fuck if there's assholes on Twitter that don't want to hear about it. Because I think we are a dysfunctional family. And Dad's going through something right now. So the kids have to talk it out. You know what I mean? And that's what Kirk has created here. And he's done an unbelievable job. And, I think it's important to support him and the world he's created. And the other thing I wanted to note before I get the guys on here that was unbelievable to me was I worked at Entercom while Kirk worked there, and while Kirk was getting harassed by Bob Murchison and was driven to suicidal thoughts and being institutionalized a couple years ago. I was there at Entercom, and as you know, Dave Port and I might not know, but you guys are aware, I do work at Barstool Sports now. When I was at Entercom and Kirk went to get help for a mental illness and checked out of the show for a while, there was what I would describe as a sigh of relief around the company. And it was like, well, don't have to deal with this guy anymore. It was the most disgusting act that I've ever seen a company and individuals contribute to. It really was. And that's the thing I most passionately hate about Entercom is the way they treated a guy with mental illness just because at that point he was kind of a pain in the ass for him. So they said, well, fuck this guy. And they were so happy to use that as an excuse to get rid of him. And the only reason I bring that up today is because of the amazing contrast between Entercom and Barstool Sports, where, hey, I wave this Barstool flag behind me proudly today because they get a lot of shit on the show, often rightfully so. But you saw Portnoy's tweet. You saw Kevin Clancy had a great tweet, I thought. Big Cat has reached out. And what stuck out most to me is that the CEO, Erica Nardini, CEO of a $450 million company, emailed Blind Mike today to see how I was doing and to see how we could best get through this process. That would never happen at a place like Entercom. And you know, like I said, Portnoy's tweet, an unbelievable job by Barstool, and that's just something I wanted to point out as well before I get into it. I don't think this will be the tone for the whole show. Hopefully, we have a little more fun. I know I will like to berate Menners, and I know some of the guys want to go after Andy Mayo for things they were saying in the group chat before this. So hopefully, we'll have some fun as this goes on. Because again, this is not a fucking funeral show. I hope I'm not giving it that tone. It's a day where we should kind of be appreciative of Kirk and talk about everything he's done, but it's also a day we can have fun because that's the environment he's created, where we can talk about serious things and still, you know, bust balls and joke about it or whatever. So I'm going to bring on Matt from Providence and R.A. Minahan. We're going to have a few others as well. But first, I do want to say, so Steve will not be on tonight. He had a prior engagement. So we found out about this at 7 a.m. So please don't blame Steve, any of that stupid bullshit we've done all week. This is not a day for the silliness. I think this is a day where we can look at the last week and say, maybe it was a little silly that we all got so mad about this nonsense. Steve had a prior engagement, but me and Steve will be doing shows together and doing shows apart over the next week or two or however long this takes. To my knowledge right now, everything will be on YouTube. We're not going to touch the RSS feed. I will say, I don't know how much I should give away, but some Barstool personalities have reached out that we may be doing shows with. Some old characters, maybe an old podcast co-host of mine has reached out. So we'll be perhaps the DC Sleuth will be dusting off his fancy tux. So there will definitely be some shows happening on YouTube. We will fill the content void. It's not going to be as good, that I can assure you, because as much as I've gotten shit for drunken comments I've made, I truly do not believe neither Steve nor I can duplicate, no matter what guests we bring in, can duplicate what Kirk does every day. But we're going to try our best. And, hopefully we put out some entertainment over the next, however many days this takes. All right. Bring the boys on. So DC's another one. I know a lot of people want a DC here. He, again, had a prior engagement. Not his fault. I only got to him a few hours before the show. So we got Matt from Providence and R.A. Minahan, 2 regulars to start it off with me. And then we'll bring other characters on as the night goes on. What do you boys think? What's the thought in the what message do you guys want to get out there before we start here?
I mean, first and foremost, I just want to applaud Kirk for having the strength to, go get himself help before doing something that he wouldn't be able to take back. Doing this, he's able to set a good example for any Minifans or really anyone out there who might be feeling the same type of way. You can go get help. And I think, he's leading by example for anyone who may be suffering from depression. Look what this guy's done for us over the last month. He's been having an inner struggle like none of us can even imagine, I'm sure. And he's given us twice the content that he's contractually obligated to. He's taken Harry to WrestleMania. He's taken Kate to her swim lessons. The guy didn't just turtle and run away from life. He was trying to face it head on. And when he knew it was too much, he did what he had to do. So, I'm proud to be a Minifan today, knowing how strong he was for himself and for his family.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he was able to get out in front of it. I don't know obviously the details, but I know the last time, he found himself on train tracks before it kind of hit him that he needed the help that he had to get. I know from a personal level, I know that one of the things I find most but one of the better things I find about Kirk is that he's so open and honest about his mental health. I know that I've definitely struggled with mental health, so I'm sure as a lot of other people have, and I was embarrassed of it for a really, really long time. But one of the things that drew me to Kirk was in 2014, I heard him actually talking about his depression and his suicidal thoughts on EEI. And it kind of made a big difference for me. I was diagnosed bipolar disorder when I was 17, and I was really, really embarrassed and ashamed of it. But hearing Kirk kind of talk about it sort of made me able to open up, and it changed my life in a better way. So it's him just talking about mental health it made, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone.
No, definitely. But, that was the thing I noticed more than anything is people reaching out, not just to say, I mentioned the people that Kirk called personally, but what I hear all the time is people that just got, like you said, from listening to the show, felt more comfortable talking about it and reaching out and talking to someone.
Definitely. He gives people an outlet to kind of clear the air regarding their mental health. And, maybe not everyone who listens is going through something, but it is important for those of us that are. He can kind of give you that little bit extra, maybe confidence that you need to face what you're going through head on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Now, I did see this on Twitter, and I thought it was a great theory. How much of this do you think is because of his appearance coming up on Quantum Week? Do you think it was all to avoid that?
I honestly am more in the camp that it was to avoid the inevitable outbreak of the coronavirus. Where better to stay safe from that than a room at McLean's, right?
Yeah.
My theory is that I don't think he wanted to let Latino Kirk off the hook. I don't think he wanted him to be able to address his side of the story as far as Madawaska is concerned. So I think this is really interesting timing.
So this was the first. So this was at 7 a.m. I got the message from Kirk texted Steve and I at 7, and I think he only spoke to Erica. He said yesterday, so this was not like a planned out thing or anything, or I should say not a long. No one knew for a while. This all happened very quickly. So I was at the David Ortiz estate sale this morning.
Oh, how did that go?
Well, not great.
You get some toilet brushes?
Did you get anything?
So we tried to get some content or videos and pictures and stuff, and we took a picture of the line. Me and Justin got there an hour early, and the line was we were 184th and 185th in line.
Jesus.
An hour early. And then one of the cops comes up to me and says, hey, Blind Mike, you got a question for Sam Kennedy? And I'm like, hello. And he comes up to me and he says, he goes, you going to be causing trouble here today? He was kind of he was almost excited. And I was like, nah. I go, honestly, I don't think so. Maybe just get some pictures and stuff. And he goes, all right. He goes, sorry you're so deep in the line. People were here last night at 10.
What? I saw the August Rocket.
I saw a tweet from Carabas.
Yep.
Yeah. So then
early this morning, that he was like way back in line. But that's insane. Like, and the stuff he was, when you guys were talking about the stuff that he was selling, I thought you were kidding. And then I actually went on the estate sale site, and what you guys were saying was tame. Like, I think it was intern Will posted just like a wagon full of wood. That's what they were selling.
I had seen an article the day before you guys talked about it saying that he was having this estate sale, and I opened up like the catalog and was looking at it, and I was like, this is insane. So when I heard you guys talk about it, I was like, wow, all right, I'm glad I'm not the only one who realized how crazy this was. And then when you really look at some of the stuff, there's really no explanation for it.
Well,
even if he's made the worst investments of any athlete who's ever lived, he could not have blown through all that money.
You have to make some kind of bad financial decisions to be selling your son's sneakers. Like
so we're waiting in line. We're waiting in line for a while, and they're only letting 20 people in at a time. Like I said, me and Justin are 185th. So 2 hours go by. So they start letting people in. 2 hours later, we're waiting, and the first person that entered leaves with a Wally water bottle. So me and Justin are like, you know what? We already got the text. We're like, we're never going to use this fucking content, even if we get inside. This is certainly not the day for that. And by the time Kirk gets back, it's going to be a big waste. I was like, let's just get out of here. So we start walking away, and I hear, look at this blind asshole. And I'm like, who the fuck do I have to deal with now? And I look over, and it's Steve Peralt and Jared Carabas.
Yep.
And so I'm talking to Carabas. He has no idea you need to take a number. And I go, hey, why don't you guys just take our numbers? Say you're Mike Geary and Justin. And they go, all right, why are you guys leaving? And I go, well, I mean, at this point, there's not much point to being here. You'll see later. And Carabas goes, what? And I realized in that moment that Carabas 100% believed that I had rigged David Ortiz's house with explosives and was getting the fuck out of there. I realized how insane it sounds to say, yeah, you'll hear about it later. Don't worry. As I'm scurrying away.
And now, so you must have been fresh off the news from Kirk at that time, correct?
Yeah.
So what's your thought process there? Is it like, all right, we're just going to get something to throw up on the YouTube channel later this week, or have too quick to even have any idea what's going on?
So at that, like, you mean with the show in general? Yeah. I didn't really know. Because, again, you don't know how long this stuff is going to take. But I will say Kirk's tone was very positive. It was, and, I don't know what he's saying privately to other people. But to me and Steve, he was like, I'm fine. I'm going to get through this. I'll be in contact a little bit, not much. But that's the crazy thing to me is how involved he always is with the show. Like in that text that he sent, this is a text to two coworkers saying, hey, I have to go into outpatient treatment for suicidal thoughts. By the way, make sure you do Mike and the Minifans tonight, Mike. So the guy's always thinking fucking content, and it is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. And, for someone who's struggling with so much, I mean, he shows great composure in being able to, keep you guys calm about it, as well as, kind of still steer the ship while being away. I mean, the guy is unbelievable at what he does, and all he cares about is his show and his fans. And like you just said right there, like that's all he cares. Like not all, I'm sure it's not all he cares about, but he wants to make sure that stuff is under control while he's going to be away.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, we're one big dysfunctional family, so we should be able to talk it out like this and whatever. Are all those guys still in the room, Justin? All the same people from before? All right. Bring in Matt Carano.
Hey.
No. These guys are staying on.
The coronavirus. There he is.
Hey, did I hear you?
Coronavirus.
Did I hear you call into OMF yesterday? I heard that some guy was hoping for bed rest this Red Sox season. Real stat guy.
That was not me.
That was me.
Was it you?
It was me.
Oh, I hope someone's got it. I'd like to hear
and
it.
we'll never hear it now, Matt.
Oh, shit.
You'll hear it on Trash Talk with me and MHB or something.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
But
who's going to watch that, though?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Carano, what do you have to say? I'm sure you'll have some schmaltzy. You worked in a therapist's office once, and you know what Kirk's going through, or what?
No, but I texted you earlier today, and I maybe you guys said that. I think Matt, maybe you said this before the show, but we were on the show when he said something about you don't know what I've been going through the last bit, or I haven't been sleeping, and I didn't even, for some reason, it didn't register.
It didn't really with me
either. I don't know why it didn't
Yeah.
register at the time, but it would have been. I mean, now in retrospect, I wish it was like.
Yeah, well, that's I said that. I said that kind of in my intro, but shame on me because people in the Discord were like, "Hey, did you reach out after Kirk said this?" And I kind of saw. I was like, "Hey, it's not my. It's he doesn't want me reaching out and saying, "Hey, you doing all right?" But maybe if I noticed something, I should have. I don't know.
Well, and you like the way that I perceive him is he's so tough. Like I just never think that he's going to need help, which is actually a testament to another testament of him going to get help. Like he may be really tough and may be able to handle a lot of stuff, but it's good that he knew that he could ask for it. And this is the second time that we know of that he's made the right call. You know what I mean? Like to make like the second time that he's done the right thing in this situation. So
that's what I was saying too before. Is that's impressive to me because you know what I mean? To not just do it, to give in to, because it seems like his thoughts are certainly much darker than anything I've had experienced. So I can't imagine what that's like to not just give in to whatever that is, you know?
Let me ask you guys a question. So yesterday's show, he came back from the outro and 2 or 3 times within 5 minutes, he said, "You never know when it's going to be the last time you're going to be on." That to me almost
I did. Like, you know what? I did not even think of that.
People were digging into that a lot. There was a lot of audio from yesterday.
And it's shocking to me that, you know, if that's what people have found just from yesterday, and you had that happen, Matt, when you were in studio with him saying something along those lines, how much of it is out there that we just thought everybody missed? Yeah. Not that, you know, we could have really done anything about it, and it would have been weird to speculate about.
It is, yeah.
But it's disturbing to think that, you know, this guy has an audience of 100,000 fans who hang on every word that he says, and none of us put it together.
I know, and he's like when we, you know, we probably spend more time with Kirk and with, you know, Mike and Steve than anybody except for our family, right? Like so he's kind of a family member, and we hear him all the time. And
he is going to hate this, by the way.
No, I know.
I can't wait till he hears this.
Hold on, but just like,
family.
No, but I know, but just like to think about that, and it didn't register for me. But I hope, like in my own life, with my friends, with my wife, with my family, if like that, I'm paying more attention out there. Right. You know what I mean? It just tells me that I should keep my eyes out there.
It is funny
too. Sometimes it just comes off as like I'll hear, like when it gets brought up, you kind of like go back and you listen. You're like, oh yeah, like I did hear that, but I feel like I always take it as just sarcasm or just something he just says out of nowhere, because he's a very sarcastic person.
Yeah.
So it is a comedy show, so you can't take everything fucking literal and be like, every time someone makes a suicide joke or something, you can't be like, But it is funny because you guys mentioned that. Until you said that, it never occurred to me. But he did. We ended the show. He left the building for...
Oh, he actually left the building?
He left the building for maybe 15 minutes. It was a while. Like, he was out of the studio for a while. To the point where I was almost gone already. And he came back in and said, "Let's do this." And it was fun. Like, after he left, I was like, that's funny. Kirk's never done that before. And me and Steve kind of just laughed about it and never thought anything of it again. But it is funny that you point that out. And now looking back, like, maybe that's what it was. Like, maybe he did that intentionally.
I don't want to speculate what was going through his head, but that almost to me seems like he was still on the fence regarding whatever he was going through, and he was like, I need to get back in there and say one last thing on a microphone.
The last thing be a silly joke and make fun of Steve. And
like he wasn't ready to be done yet with you know, doing what he does, podcasting, radio, whatever it be. And, you know, maybe he just wanted to get one last message out to everybody.
How much does he hate right now? Because I'm sure he's not listening to this, but how much does he hate knowing that the hand on the wheel of the Kirk Minahan ship is Blind Mike with the assistance of Matt Carano? I mean, talk about a suicidal thought. Like, that's got to be rough on him right now.
Oh, my God. Hopefully he's not watching right now.
Yeah. I think he might have to go back in after he watches this.
What do you guys think of how I thought KFC had a great tweet today saying how hurry back, Kirk, because the only people crazier than you are your fans and they need you. What did you guys think of how Barstool handled everything, especially in comparison to how Entercom handled everything?
It's no concept.
Willie Colon reached out. I saw that Willie Colon blocked me, lo and behold. But like I'm sure a lot of us But I saw on Discord that someone had posted a screenshot of Willie Colon. So that's when you know that Barstool, they get it, all right?
Yeah.
And like the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm just like, that's just a normal reaction from a company. Like what Entercom did was so out of the ordinary, just disrespectful. That
it was disgusting. The most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Like, and the more you just see, like, just employees, like if that were to happen to one of us, and just like someone at your company would reach out and be like, hey, like I hope things work out, but. The way that Kirk was dragged through the mud at Entercom, like when anyone at Barstool is the littlest thing, you're like, oh man, like this is awesome. Where that's just a normal human reaction.
Either Matt, do you have any thoughts?
No, yeah, I mean, it was good to see Barstool reach out. I don't know if some people maybe put that out on Twitter because they felt like they had to, but I'm glad that they're finally showing some sort of connection to Kirk, even though it has to come through such, a poor circumstance.
Yeah.
Erica.
I mean, Sean
Erica's
retweeted
my
this
CEO,
show,
man.
for Christ's sake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was really glad to see Portnoy reach out right away through Twitter, and like Ari said, when his enemies at headquarters are reaching out, that there's really not that hard of feelings there.
Yeah, they get it. And Dave Portnoy, say what you want about the guy. Call him a pompous, miserable asshole, a tyrant ruler. He's all of those things. But in one tweet, he did more. What's that?
As your tormentor?
Yeah, a bully, disabled fucking whatever the fuck.
And you know what?
But in one tweet, he did more for Kirk than anyone at Entercom did mental health wise.
I can't believe they siloed themselves off at Entercom that bad. You said it like people were thankful that he wasn't on the air when you were there, and he was out. That's what
it was the vibe. It felt like a sigh of relief.
That's
like,
crazy.
Well, we don't have to deal with this guy. Yeah.
And Mike, I just saw one of the comments brought up a great point too. What the fuck is Jerry Callahan doing on this?
Has he still not said anything?
I mean, he just retweeted it. I don't think he didn't say anything.
You expect anything less?
I mean, I would expect him to say. I mean, a little fight is a lot different when something this serious happens, and to not even say thinking of you, Kirk. Hope you get better soon. Is just
I will
a
say
move to me.
I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he reached out personally.
Yeah.
Until we find that out, I won't completely trash him.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little odd to not publicly say, hey, we've had our beef. This is my friend, whatever. There's also part of me that wonders if Kirk would say, well, maybe I wouldn't have gone after him as hard if I wasn't dealing with this. I don't know. I don't want to beat up Jerry too bad, but yeah, that does stand out to me that, again, John Dennis accused him of this. Kirk's accused him a couple times of just having no sense of, wanting to reach out in times of struggle, I guess.
Jerry cares about Jerry.
Which, I mean, I hope that's not the case, but all the evidence is pointed to that, but I hope it's not true.
Now, Mike, do you think with, I'm sure, there's going to be a dip in the hours of content provided every week now. Do you think that's a good opportunity for the Minifans to really rally and, get a lot of content ready for Kirk when he gets back?
Absolutely.
Make him feel better.
I made sure just before the show. I know Steve from Providence and TJ were thinking about doing something. And I know that they probably assumed we better not do it now. So I reached out to Steve from Providence before the show and said, hey, if you guys still want to do that, do it, because we're looking to put out whatever content we can. I think there may be some sort of a charitable endeavor that the Minifans can give to that'll be announced at some point this week or maybe next week. But we're figuring stuff out. But yeah, any Minifans that want to do stuff, particularly the trusted Minifans, I don't know if this is the time to debut another Pistol Pete. But, you guys, Steve from Providence, Kevin from Bristol, whoever, if you guys want to do stuff on the YouTube channel, this would be a great time for that. Also, I talked to MHB about doing some stuff. I think the Robinson Report may make its debut. Me and Steve have done some stuff. And I'll say a couple names from Barstool that you guys have reached out.
Cool.
I don't know what's gonna be done with them. specifically, but something, I think. So we'll see how all that plays out.
Awesome. Can't wait.
So can people just reach out to you or to Steve if they have? Is that
me or Steve? And you can even Robinson at barstoolsports.com, Geary at barstoolsports.com, or I try to read most of my DMs.
Sounds like Matt has some ideas up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, a couple days ago.
Cards on the table, Matt, right now. Come on. Let's hear it.
Lay them out.
Cards on the table.
Lay the cards out.
They're on his table. They're on his desk. I don't fucking have any cards here.
They're not doing you much good now.
No, not at all.
Do you think that's what? Now, I blamed it on Quantum Week earlier, but do you think it was the prospect of working with you every day? Do you think that's what drove him to this? Yes or no?
No.
How do you respond to that?
I actually think he really likes me. Honestly, he wouldn't bust my balls as much as he did unless he liked me.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah. No, he's never made fun of Rich Kelleher.
Well, there is that. But he ices them. He doesn't ice me.
He gave the Mayo Man a tough go of it this week.
Yeah.
I guess he did. Yeah, he did. No, I don't want to bore anybody with my ideas.
No, let's hear him. Let's hear him. Why not?
Well, no, okay, so on the all right. Since you
really twisting his arm.
Matt, did you eat the candy and put the wrapper back in the cup, you asshole?
No, I thought I was going to get blamed for that though, but that was
it had
to get blamed for it.
No, it was certainly Mike. I mean, he does that shit.
I do that shit. I would never go to his desk. How would I even know the Reese's were on his desk?
I don't know either. I didn't see them. I never touched his desk.
You could smell them with that heightened sense of smell.
I'm in another room.
I believe it was Matt. It had to be Matt Carano.
I would never steal his shit. I'm not that.
You're lucky. Much like Steve with Stella, you're lucky this happened because that investigation will probably never see the light of day.
Thrown under the rug. Fucking, you better believe now I'm going to go in there and steal all his candy.
How fucking observant is that guy, though? He notices a Reese's wrapper in the trash in the bathroom.
What is this? What is this?
I know that wasn't there.
He fucking notices everything. Everything on the internet, everything anybody ever says, anything out of place on his desk. You hear him go after Steve like, why is this paper on my desk? You hear that shit all the time. He fucking notices everything. It's crazy.
And he noticed something about Dale Bear too. He was like, "Why was Dale Bear?" And then Steve was like, "Well, I just wanted to do it for the YouTube." And he's like, "Well, just don't." Like,
the guy watches it. The guy watches it.
You're gonna kill my character.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any other thoughts before we move to another crop? Oh, well, here's what. Do you guys feel uncomfortable doing this or anything? So one thing I saw was, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for Mike if he doesn't just do the show with Steve. And I was like, well, I'm not. It's not an option, really.
No, you can't go up on the RSS feed. You can't do that. So there you go.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know what was expected of me. I hope I'm doing an all right job. But also, like, I want to have you guys on because, I think the idea that you're the fourth member of the show is really true. And I think Kirk likes that you guys have a voice and can give your thoughts when something like this comes up.
I'm sorry, you meant tonight. I thought you meant doing the show. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
If there's ever like a night when, Minifans need to talk about something, I think this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Today was today was a very weird day. It almost felt as if a family member got sick and ended up in the hospital. I mean, it was, I guess you said that earlier, Matt, and we made fun of you. And I'm not going to get as much heat as you did.
Matt, that's a terrific point. Yes, very good.
I love you guys.
Who else is in the room here, Justin?
Ned Snark, Latino Kirk, Manners, Andy Mayo, and Kevin from Bristol.
All right, let's kick out Carano and R.A. Minahan. I'm sorry, boys.
Not at all.
And we'll bring in Kevin from Bristol and Ned Snark. All right, fellas.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Ned
guys.
Snark, I hope your mic is worked out. You sound beautiful again.
Thank you.
A handsome figure as well. Kevin from Bristol, what's up, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Of course.
Perfect.
Kevin, I specifically reached out to Kevin because I thought he would have some inspiring words for the Minifans. I feel like you usually do, but what are your guys' thoughts on a day like this?
Ned, you want to go first? Go ahead.
This kind of hit home because I've always kind of associated with Kirk's depression, and I've never downplayed it, unlike Jerry Callahan did. But my mother suffered from depression from about the time I was 10, and And what you learn is it's not an external factor. No, it wasn't from working with Matt for a couple of days. No, it wasn't from the drama of last week.
Okay.
Okay. But in the case of my mother, and it's not the same as Kirk's, I'm not going to say that it is. And it's too bad DEC wasn't on, because he's gone through some very similar situations as Kirk, and he could have shed a lot of insight. But you get medicated for it, and it depends on what the medications are for the depression. But eventually the medication holds the depression back for a while you're dealing with the root causes. And then eventually, though, unfortunately, and I think this might have been Kirk's case, was he was on the antipsychotics, it may have broken through the level he was getting. But can we clarify something? Did you say he's outpatient, right, Mike?
Outpatient, yes.
So he's not in McLean's.
No, he said he mentioned that he didn't like it last time he did that, and I think he thinks outpatient's the way to go. Good. So yeah, we'll
the
see
hard
how that
thing.
goes.
Now, how does that? You know how outpatient works? Is that like
to my knowledge,
monitoring him?
To my knowledge, he's there. At Justin actually knows better than me, but he's kind of in the facility most of the day, but then is able to go home at night. Is that about right, Justin?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, outpatient. You show up. You get you get some time to talk. Maybe you get your meds. You get diagnosed. You get to leave. The reason I even know that, and the reason I'll say this, when I was a caller to Kirk and Callahan, I was drawn to Kirk from day one. I didn't call in with a hot sports take. I called in when Kirk had some shit brewing. You know, I called in with a character. I called in for all the stuff that wasn't sports, all the stuff where Kirk excelled. And the reason that Kirk was a magnet for me is because I have a best friend my whole life who was dealt with suicide, depression, always in the middle of. Hold on.
Boy, no one is as eloquent as Kevin from Bristol. He's making this beautiful point, and then I got to hold on.
Room with a diaper in hand. Anyway, my point is this: this friend of mine, him and I have been through thick and thin together. And when I see Kirk, I see my best friend, and I almost feel like I know how to be the other side to that person. I know how when I'm around Kirk, I know to keep my distance, what to say, what not to say, because I deal with my best friend who has the same issues. And the part of that is it's a crime, because maybe the price for being an entertainment genius, for being just so sharp and so what he is he has a damaged mind. It's chemical. Kirk has a good life. He makes money. He's successful. People that like him, us, we love him. It's not that. This is chemical. And I just want to say this. I never want to do this fucking show after Kirk Minahan's suicide. So my message to Kirk is to go away. Go away for as long as you fucking need to. You know, we will always be here. Right. We've already had enough content from this guy for a year. If you need to go away and get your shit straight, do not think for 1 second that we're like, you know, what the fuck? I want some podcasts. No, dude, go away and make sure you're okay. And then whatever you need from us, we'll drop what we're doing, and we'll be right here. We'll never go away. Exactly. I'll never leave that guy. I'll never leave his side.
I'm glad you said that too. I know I did see.
Very well put, Kevin.
You're always. He's the man. You're always going to get this on Twitter, but I did see someone say like, "Oh, is this a stunt for ratings?" It's like, what a fucking just a know-nothing cunt that doesn't know anything about Kirk. Like, but I gotta say, the Minifans in general, other than the occasional asshole here and there, do an unbelievable job. Like, it's guys like Kevin that do an unbelievable job of just understanding and engaging in the show. And Kevin's a great example of the brilliance of Kirk, where, you know, I mean, Kirk brought me in as someone who doesn't have a lot of experience or anything, that would have never gotten a shot on real radio or anything like that. Kirk brought me in as his wacky sidekick or whatever, and actually gave me a shot. But the crazy thing that always sticks out to me about Kevin is Kirk brought Kevin in to do a show with him. Like, that's something you would never see in radio. No. Is a guy as high profile as Kirk just say, "Oh, we need someone to fill in one day. Why not this caller that's funny sometimes?" Like that's kind of the brilliance of Kirk and why he's a generational talent.
And let me say this: when I was in studio, it always fucked with me, because I was the character on the phone. I did what I wanted to do. I go in studio and everyone's telling me, "Don't do this, don't say that, don't do this." And I do the show, and Kirk's like, you sucked. Why didn't you say anything? I'm like, everyone else is telling me, we'll never have you on again if you fucking cross this line. And I was such a pussy. I wish I just did what Kirk said and just went balls blazing. I wish I did. But it was you're right. He brought me in. He didn't give a shit. He took chances. Still
you could
does.
be a star radio guy today, Kev. Who knows?
Yeah.
You could be sitting in my seat, Kevin.
If there's just something to keep in mind, he didn't do the ultimate act, thank goodness, right? Number two, you had the presence of mind that he didn't wander down to the railroad tracks either, right? So he knew something was off, something was wrong. There's a lot to be said with what happened this week when you're playing back the sound. You hear a lot of things that maybe now have a second meaning. But my concern is, his kids, his wife and his kids.
Right.
And his wife, of course, is an adult. And I watched my dad come home from work every day and spend time with my mother. When I was 10 years old, and I was the oldest of four, my mother went into their bedroom and didn't come out for a year. And when she did come out, she had electroshock treatment. And then she had heavily medicated where, she was not, the medication back then was very different than today. It's much better today, of course. So I know that Kirk's getting a much better and measured help than, say, in the 70s when my mother was going through it. But she was suicidal. And it's the kids you think about because they don't know. I mean, Kate's what, 13 now?
Yeah.
And even at 13, you don't know. You still, it's difficult to explain to the children what dad is going through. And even when he is explaining it, I'm sure he is, right? By all accounts, he's a fantastic father.
Yeah, I've wondered that because even I've wondered that because of the two, I've met Harry, and he's only 7 or 8, whatever he is, whatever Big Cat didn't know in Florida. But
he owned you, right?
Yeah, and but he for a kid that young, he's pretty aware, so he's gonna notice that something's like, where's dad for X amount of time. So
sure.
it does have to be tough.
Kids raised by Kirk are going to be sharp as tacks.
Right. Yeah. He's going to notice.
True,
he's going to question fucking everything.
I mean, he already seems pretty quick-witted from when you guys had him on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at 13 and at 7, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to digest. And at 13, you're almost in the brink of teenagehood, and she might be getting ready to go into high school. And at 7, how do you explain to your friends where your dad is, or what's wrong with your dad? You can't,
Right.
You know what? I know it came up on the show. I know it came up on the show a couple weeks ago.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was saying to Ned, it's a testament to either the rest of your mother's life or your father's life, or just yourself. You seem like a well put together, strong guy, and you went through what you did, and I'm sure people were there for you. But it's a testament, to people to stick around, to stick through it. It
is. And by the way, it was with my mother in my mother's case, and I'm sure it's going to be with Kirk's case as well. It was her entire life, So it just went through periods where it was very difficult. And then there were periods like years where it was, oh, is she okay now? But then comes something internal that's externalized that leads to, like, not a relapse. That's too strong of a word. But like I said, I think the chemical, Kevin, you said it perfectly. It's chemical. It's in the brain. And the medications, they don't want to over medicate people and turn them into zombies, but the medication blocks what is going on with the chemicals until the chemicals overwhelm that level of the medication. Then the medication has to be adjusted.
Yeah. So, my best friend dealt with it his whole life. He still does. And I'll say this, there are times he has a daughter and he has to convince himself he's better off being in her life, being alive, than that she wouldn't be better off without him. So even with people say, oh, you have kids, you have a wife, that's not enough sometimes to convince yourself to stay in this world. So the chemical imbalance, whatever it is more powerful even than your own child. My friend here, he thought about, finding the rope to hang himself with. He thought about, figuring out ways to take himself out. And I would say, how could you do that? You have a daughter. And he'd say, she's better off without me here. So I mean, it's fucking deep, dark stuff. And I Kirk's strong.
It has nothing. By the way, and Kevin, you're 100% correct. It has nothing to do with toughness or bravery or whatever. It's the chemicals are throwing off the syntaxes and how your brain processes emotions and information. So yes, your friend and I've had a cousin who committed suicide as well, and it's there. People say from the outside they're being selfish. They did this, and maybe that is the case from your vantage point. But that person going through it isn't aware of being selfish. This is the only way they can end the strife or the pain or what they feel they're going through, and it's because of a chemical imbalance.
And there are lifelong exercises he has to do, which is like counteract negative thoughts with positive actions.
Correct.
I'm sure Kirk will have his exercises as well, but those are things that are going to be daily mantras for Kirk or whoever else. As far as what I know, which
right. Well, and there are many times I've wanted to commit suicide after listening to Steve, but I've always been able to readjust my thinking and up my meds, and it got me through to the next show.
You're going to get plenty of Steve over the next couple of weeks, baby.
Yeah, he's great. He was missed. I'm teasing, but he was great.
Hey, can we all put into perspective what a fucking tragedy it was that Steve was out for 3 days? Holy shit! Does this put that into perspective, you fucking assholes? I mean, Jesus Christ. The world was going to end because Steve got 3 days off.
So, Mike, obviously I know this all just went down today, but has any sort of timeline at all been discussed? Like, is there a possibility that we never get the show back?
It did not seem that way to me. I genuinely don't know.
Can't.
The way it's been phrased to me is over the next few weeks. I have no idea how set in stone that is. It could be, if we're doing, I wouldn't be stunned. I would be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be stunned if we were doing the show a week from Monday. I would think it would be more towards a month I would think it would be more towards a month from Monday, to be honest.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't want to put a timeline on it because I don't have any fucking idea.
You can't, because when like I said earlier, when he gets his medication adjusted, there is a period, and it could be a week, where the adjustment has to level out if it's more effective. While that's happening internally, he'll be speaking to some therapist or someone to work through it, and they'll also be getting feedback of like, how is he feeling today compared to yesterday? And they may have to tweak the medicine, depending on how he reacts. So to put a timeline on it is very difficult. Very.
We know what Kirk does. We know how good he is, what a pro he is. We know at some point he'll be discussing it with us. We'll
get
details. Yes.
Oh yeah.
We'll get all the stories of how many people said, "Hey, what's Portnoy like in real life?" and all that. We'll get every fucking detail. Don't worry. But I would prepare more for, like I said, a few weeks without the Kirk Minahan show as you know it. Again, YouTube's gonna be fucking cranking out. I don't know if there are other substitute. It won't be on the Kirk Minahan RSS feed. I don't know exactly what the deal is, but I would say if you're watching YouTube right now, subscribe, because you'll get notifications whenever we go live and do something.
For Christ's sakes, we can re-listen to the other 173 episodes.
Yeah, right.
Now,
we've only done
the ones that Steve
4,000 hours.
I hate to hit the panic button, but it was just discussed the other day how big of a production the Wilbur's going to be. Does this in any way, jeopardize that? If he's out for a month and a half, and he's coming back a month before the show or 2 months before the show, like, does that hamper your ability to properly rehearse and get everything settled?
Right now, I would think that will be fine. From Kirk's tone and his text and everything.
Without him.
What's that, Kevin?
I think we can do all the rehearsals without him. We can carry the burden for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve and Matt can get the production side going. Kirk wouldn't have been involved anyway, except for feedback. Of course, when he comes back and sees all the work you guys have done, he'll hate it. But
I just hope he got you guys a list of those songs before checking himself in. You guys need to get those songs.
That was on to something. We need those songs. God damn it.
Hey, and let me say this. I enjoy myself some Matt Carano, but he looks kind of like Jason Schwartzman with polio. for. And that's kind of a compliment because I love Jason Schwartzman, but
That's kind of a fair comparison.
With Paul.
All right, boy. Ned Snark. I think I'm going to filter you out with Latino Kirk. I hope you're not insulted by that.
Not at all.
All right, my friend. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks. Be
Ned's
cool.
We'll get Latino Kirk in here for a minute. And yeah, that is a great question, Matt. But I would say keep your tickets. I think, for judging by Kirk's tone, I think that will be fine. Hopefully, I'm right. I don't know this kind of stuff. I'm just speculating, and I'm sure I'll sound like an asshole. But
yeah, Mike, I could see Kirk walking on stage. I could see Kirk walk on stage in a straitjacket just to fuck with everybody.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Latino Kirk, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
You came. I know you came in like a real. I don't mean to say this, but with a real Latin temper, because you were all fired up today, and I had to tell you boys, settle down. It's not going to be that kind of a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say that, as much as this situation is sad, and the whole thing of someone having to go to ask for help and get help, I'm happy for him to have realized that he had a problem and actually went and got help. This is just a show. This is just a job. His family, his health comes first. So I'm glad that he's addressing that. Hopefully it will be a quick recover. And I saw someone saying we can wait for you, but I think in my mind is not we can wait for him. We will wait for him.
Of course,
we will stand by him and do whatever we can to help him on this process.
Right. Well, like Kevin said earlier, it's much better to not have a show and to have Kirk around and getting help than
Absolutely.
to have to do one of these after something with a much different tone,
Yeah, and I've been listening a lot to Old Enough About Me episodes, especially the before and after his first case of when he had suicidal thoughts and went to McLean and all. And one thing he always said after was, "Don't let it bubble up. Don't let it accumulate to the point where you're gonna just explode." So I'm just happy that he did that, and it was amazing just to listen to some of the symptoms, like the chest pains and thinking you're having a heart attack, because this is one of the steps, into getting to that stage. And I've had that, and it's not funny. I didn't get to the point of being suicidal, but from that point into depression and suicidal thoughts is very close. So
Well, that's one thing I noticed too about when people said, "Well, I don't want to hear from the Minifans their thoughts on depression or Kirk being suicidal." I do, actually, because Kirk is the king of the crazies. We're all fucking nuts. We've all dealt with this shit. I think the reason we were all drawn to Kirk or this type of show is because we're a little fucking loopy. Like the amount of people that reach out to me and say, whether it's my thing with alcohol or my self-esteem issues or anxiety or whatever, the amount of people that I've had reach out to me, it shows me okay, you're not alone. And that's kind of the world that Kirk has created is a good thing, because it's a group of fucking misfits that have a place where they can feel like they're not alone and can talk about this shit.
Yeah, I mean, we all relate with Kirk on one level or another. And, I don't think it's any secret that a large part of his persona is his battle with mental health. So it only makes sense that, a lot of Minifans probably are experiencing something going on in their own lives. And, it's good to see him be so responsible about his own issues where, like I said earlier, hopefully it just inspires anyone who's going through something to do what they need to do to take care of themselves.
Yeah, and I had someone reach out to me on DM and saying I was talking to Kirk on Discord and saying that I was having some trouble. I don't know if it was suicidal thoughts or what. And he said, Kirk told me, go seek help. That's the best you can do. And this guy was saying maybe that was something that he was trying to tell me, that he was having his own problems, but now I think I'm gonna look for help. And I was like, you should definitely go and look for help. Don't let it accumulate.
Yeah,
Kevin, go ahead.
Of Kirk reaching out, he reached out. My mom passed away, and I got a message immediately from Kirk, And it's like you said, us Minifans, and Kirk especially. It's like Kirk is this polarizing figure. He can be a needling, gigantic asshole. But the base of everything Kirk is love. He'd always tell Jerry how much he loved him. He all of this anger, all of this darkness, all of these things deep down, he's just brewing with love. He loved this. He loves us. I believe that. I believe that there is. I think he fights through his demons all the time when he goes to these live shows and to when he went to Madawaska. That is a chore for him. See, for me, I'm a social fuck. I want to jump in anything I can get in, especially with you guys. You're right. We fit in together. We're all fucked up. We're all broken. We're all a mess. Together, we're great. Together, we're powerful. And if someone comes down on Kirk at this time right now, that's when we can be vigilant. We can look out for people that are going to shit on him when he's down and can't speak for himself. We can come out now and do those things. But for the heart of it, you have this guy that everyone thinks is a big dick. And if you know him, if you met him, deep down, it's all based in kind of warped love.
Yeah. And as much as he, he's famous and has done a lot, it strikes me as an introvert, right? So you're right, Kevin. Like for him to go there and talk to people, it's like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in Madawaska, Kirk was, going out of his way to be extra, talkative with the fans, and come to find out, like, this is right around the time when he was starting to really battle with this. It sounds like, he said around a month. That puts us around Super Bowl week.
Yeah, Miami too. Yeah.
And I mean, in Miami, that was probably the most content we got out of him in a week. And that seems to be somewhere on the genesis of when this all started. And it's weird to think that it didn't bleed over into his performance at all.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. And I think it's why people use the word scary a lot today. Like when he was in Miami, and I don't know if it's literally a month to the day, but if it is, when he was in Miami, he was a social butterfly. He was out shaking his ass and kissing babies and making friends, and it was a beautiful sight. And same in Madawaska. And it's amazing to watch that, and that's the scary thing, to watch that and say, like, this is one of the troubles that I had. Like, my girlfriend said this to me today. She's like, when I told her what happened with Kirk, she said, "Really? He seemed fine on the show yesterday." And it's like, yeah, it's the amount of people that don't understand that you're able to mask it and laugh and have fun and whatever. But that's the scary part of that disease, is that it's always looming. You never know when it's going to fucking just get you. And that's the kind of scary thing, but it's the kind of the beautiful thing of what guys like Kirk have done, is made it more comfortable for people, especially men, because I know it's a stigma with men, to be comfortable talking about it.
And I mean, I think what's even scarier is, like, what Kevin said earlier, it comes down to a chemical imbalance. Is you got a guy here who thousands of people literally revere as almost like a god. And still he's having these feelings. And it just goes to show you that, like was said earlier, nothing external really can solve this problem. It doesn't matter how much people look up to you or respect you, or how many assets you have. It comes down to the chemical imbalance. And, hopefully, Kirk's able to shed some light on the issue, and people, do what they got to do to get better.
Yeah, but Matt, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I totally agree with you, because I used to, when I was young, I used to, make fun of people all the time. Oh, stress is something that doesn't exist. It's a rich, disease, and burnout. It's just like a funny word. But when I started having panic attacks and I couldn't control my brain, and I would wake up 3 a.m. and just go wash the bathroom because I had nothing better to do, I realized that your body is asking for help, so obviously it's a different level, and medicine helps, but it's serious.
Now, before I kick two of you out here, Kevin, what would Captain Dorian Hungwell say about all of this?
Well, you have to find yourself a self-lubricating woman and really bear down on her. Get your face down there in the nectar region, and go to town. See if you can replace some of your chemicals with some vaginal fluids. What's inside there is goodness, and it will rebuild you from the soul. So my advice to Kirk is to eat some protein.
I didn't think you'd do that on command. I'm very impressed. And I think people needed that today. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, if you want to stick around with me for this last, because I may need help with these two fucking maniacs. But what's that? Okay, we'll go to them after this. See you, boys. Latino Kirk and Kevin, thank you very much.
Mike, hold on.
Go ahead.
Can I just have 30 seconds to address
go.
the thing? So I don't wanna I had
the thing with the Team Robinson guy.
Yeah, you know I had this whole speech, 10-minute speech monologue here.
That's fine. No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, I wasn't eyeing Betsy. I was looking at my jacket that was behind them, and I thought we addressed the situation right there. Apparently not. So all I want to say is, if she felt offended, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at them. I told them that, I want to just bury this. It's not all about us. It's about Kirk. Let's move on.
Thank you, buddy. And I think that is really the greatest gift I could have given Kirk. That on a day like this, I have Latino Kirk defending himself that he's not a pervert. I appreciate it.
That's what so I actually spoke with Tim Robinson on the phone, and I was like, what the heck? And he was like, oh, my wife.
I'm sure everyone watching is glad that hatchet was buried.
I could go on a rant here and call him an asshole and all, but I don't want. It's all about Kirk, So I'm calling quits on that.
Well, I'll tell you this: just like the day Stella dying saved Steve's job, today Kirk having this, having to take this hiatus saved Steve Robinson from getting his fucking head ripped off in here.
Sure did.
Let's find the next enemy instead of fighting between us.
Exactly. That's a great message to leave on Latino Kirk. Kevin from Bristol, a Hall of Famer, and Latino Kirk, a budding star in the Minifan world. Thank you for stopping by, boys.
Have a good night.
Now I want to bring in two fucking nuts that are just going off in this group chat. Boy, Menners and Andy Mayo here as they come in. And boy, Menners, it must have really killed you that we talked about Kirk for all this time. I apologize. What would you like to get to?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Just typical reactive Mike. Kirk sends out a tweet. Your only thing is to bring these shitheads in to talk about mental illness. I mean, you should be fucking trolling that mental health lifeline number across the bottom of this transmission the whole time.
Should we have done that?
People are going to need it after listening to philosophize. And, Jesus. Enough already.
Well, go ahead. What do you want to talk about? What should we be talking about?
Not need us to try and speculate on his health.
No, he doesn't. But he's not watching. The Minifans need it.
Well, yeah. No,
I think we've done a good job.
Especially aren't qualified to give this sort of guidance. That's for sure.
I don't know if that's true, Menners. I have depression and all that.
Speaking of guidance, what about
neither of us are trained in giving counsel to people?
Well, no, yes. If you're suicidal right now, run. Do not watch this. You should turn YouTube the fuck off. Get out of here. Yes, I understand. I'm not trained by any means, but I don't know. I feel like we can have a fucking discussion about it. What's wrong with that?
Well, Mike, you're not trained, but Andy tried to train us up earlier.
He sure did. That was very. So I will say,
you guys are being legitimate assholes about this.
I don't think. I think Andy.
Yeah, you are.
I don't think Andy had a bad idea.
I don't believe this.
Matt.
But the article you sent us, was literally like how to handle somebody's suicide in the news.
So Matt,
we don't have any inside information. We can't, give expletive details about an incident that happened because no incident took place.
So Matt, we are on a show talking about this, and I know Mike just joked that there might be suicidal people watching. 2 minutes before that, he talked about how Kirk is king of the crazies, and it probably does attract some people who relate to his mental health struggles because they have their own. It's not absurd to assume that there are people watching this who are going through the same struggles as Kirk. And there's something called suicide contagion, which is where people who are at risk for suicide.
Mayo, the doctor.
Listen. I can leave. I don't disagree. I can leave if you guys don't want to talk.
Listen, Andy, I said it. I agreed with you on the suicide hotline picker. I thought that was a great idea. but the other stuff just didn't really seem exactly relevant to what we're going through.
It is relevant, Matt, because yes, that was worded as if a suicide has occurred. It is relevant in terms of talking about suicide in general. And I will say this, guys. Mike, you asked if people were uncomfortable. I was extremely uncomfortable because I don't want to talk about this irresponsibly. And knowing that suicide contagion is a real thing where public conversations and media coverage about suicide can either increase the risk of somebody who's already at risk doing it, or it can help them. And to everybody's credit today, the discussion, when you look at that guideline and it says, here are the things to emphasize that can be helpful to somebody, they're the things you guys all emphasize today. So I don't blame Matt for being skeptical because it's me and usually I'm being a dick. I shared that out of genuine concern because I wanted to read up before this to make sure that I knew how to talk about this responsibly so that I don't accidentally go down a pathway that maybe isn't the best thing for someone to hear if they're at risk for suicide.
No, I actually agree with what Andy said. And I like the point that he brought up. And I'll tell you, I thought you had a good suggestion with rolling the suicide prevention hotline number across the bottom of the screen. The only reason I didn't do it is because it felt like it would make it feel like then I was doing a telethon for suicide prevention. You know what I mean? It felt uncomfortable for me to do that. So I just didn't want to. And I wanted to be able to, if something else came, I didn't want to be telling a joke in poor taste, quote unquote, and have that number going across the bottom. You know what I mean? It just felt weird.
I know.
But I don't disagree with your idea, but I would also say in this group, you can't bring an idea like that to this group and expect your balls to not get busted a little bit.
I mean, it was like you were acting like we were going to come in here making suicide jokes, which, I guess some little ones
we have made a couple. I even said I told you guys, I said, I'm going to make some jokes
say Mayo. Sorry?
I told the group too. I said, hey guys, just so you know, I plan on cracking some jokes tonight. I'm not saying jokes are totally off the table. I'm just saying I don't think you really looked at that document, Matt. There's things in there that
I definitely looked at it. I took a look.
Okay.
That's how I knew how to respond to it.
Okay. What did it say about methods?
Methods. I don't remember the whole article, but I read it, and at the time,
Steve does this to me all the time, Matt. Don't feel guilty.
Was it homework though? Was I supposed to memorize the article? You read 5 pages of something, you retain some of it, and then you got to hope you can do the best you can at not completely blowing those off and saying something truly offensive or suicide provoking. I don't think any of us were going to come in here and say something completely, inappropriate about Kirk.
No, which is why I had people I trust.
I'll speak for myself, Mike, if I may.
I didn't really know. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may. One thing that guideline said was not to get fixated on methods. And that's something that if I hadn't read that before coming on here, and say hypothetically you had said, similar to the way Kirk did with the train thing, that he talked about a new method this time, I would have been very curious and I probably would have peppered you with questions and talked about that a lot. After reading that guideline, it said, don't focus on that shit. Focus on the fact that there's help available and that there's hope. And so Kirk as everyone has already said, Kirk is doing such a public service by being so open about this because he's sending that message to people that there's help out there and you can be at the top professionally and personally, and you are not safe from these types of struggles. And there's help out there. So I'll just speak for myself that reading that guideline helped me. I thought other people might be interested in getting similar help. And, maybe I was wrong in that assumption, or because it came from me, and I don't blame people for being skeptical of anything I say, but it was genuinely out of concern.
You've been sitting backstage, I would assume, for the whole show, right? Watching, listening. I mean, has my message that I've been putting out there deviated really in any way from the file that you sent? I mean, I don't think...
good job, Matt. But like I said, for me, had I not read it, I might have deviated from those guidelines. Maybe you would have too, but you didn't. So it's good. It's good.
Put it this way, it came off almost as when you sent it in there, almost like, I know better than you guys. You need to read this before we go on, or you're going to make a mistake.
The experts who wrote that know better than us. The American Federation for Suicide Prevention knows better than us, and that's who that source is from. So yes, they know better than us. And I was trying to be helpful, but it's fine, Matt. I don't think anybody really gives a shit about this.
All right, Menners was right. I'm bored. What? Menners, what should we have been talking about for the last hour? Would you say in your mind?
Well, I don't know. I just think there's a lot to talk about from the last week, and we should talk about it. I mean, just
doesn't it feel
we
weird?
Cannot, how long can we talk about Kirk taking him? I mean, we all love the guy and want him to get better. None of us are experts. We can all share our stories of experience we've had with mental health, but. I mean, is that what Mike and the Minifans is about? I don't know.
I think it is on the day.
Yeah, for sure. But like Menners, I'm
what
sure
else are we
know.
Are we going to talk about Steve getting suspended? Like, what are we going to talk about?
Well, just say Menners. I don't know how much Menners is going to be able to offer. He's been busy exterminating his restaurant for the last couple of days.
How has that gone? I genuinely, I reached out to you. That I fucking hated. Is everything all right with that, or what's going on?
Yeah, look, I actually want to thank all the Minifans that rallied around and left good reviews. I since found overnight that a load of fuckhead robber fans went on and left some shitty iTunes reviews for my cricket podcast, which sucks because, I co-host that with another guy who has no idea about this. And, I'm going to have to explain to him. Fortunately, our target market is not the US cricket fans.
Good.
So... it shouldn't affect it too much, but yeah, fuck all those guys. A load of pieces of shit that went on and did that to my restaurant. They can all fuck off.
Yeah, that's miserable.
That's one thing I think we're all on the same page on. There's no room for that. So, I mean, Andy, as much disagreement as we have, we've talked and we've agreed on this very subject. Like, that's not acceptable. As much as I, made it seem like you endorsed doxing earlier this week, kind of,
Matt,
got in a little fight there.
Tell him your response when I asked you to please consider deleting
that.
Yeah,
Andy asked me to delete my tweet, making it look like he endorses doxing, and my two conditions were, one, that he never comes on any KMS content ever again, and what was the other one, Andy? I can't remember.
I tell you my real name, and which of those two conditions did I comply with?
That he docs himself to me, and that he never comes on again.
So then I did. I
safe to say
Matt
I didn't delete it because he's here tonight.
I sent Matt my real name, and I said, "Here you go, Matt." And Matt said,
"He did.
Why are you doing this?" I was kidding.
And what did I say to you? I said,
"Why
what's
are you
your
doing
play?"
this?
I said, "What's your play?" Yes. And I know what your fucking play is. I know your play.
So that when I get doxxed, I can blame you. I can say Matt's the only person I ever.
You wait for Kirk to fucking come out and shit on doxing, and now you're gonna dox yourself through some random parody account and blame it on me and try to get me excommunicated. I know how the game works.
No, Matt. Honestly, the fact that I did that and that you thought I was up to something. You thought I was up to something with my bit about taking a break the week before. Then even tonight, where I share that thing and it comes across as somehow a bad thing. All of that stuff has made me look at my own behavior in the Minihan world and be like, all right, if people are coming to these conclusions and have these suspicions about me, I don't think they're accurate, but there's a reason, and my behavior has to do with that. And I know Kirk said that to you too this week, Mike, that if you're hearing the same thing from everybody, there's something you're doing that's contributing to it. Yeah. So even before Kirk's announcement today, I don't know, I was thinking a lot about just, it's fun leaning into kind of the vitriol and the fighting in the Minahan world, and I've done that. But then you get stuff like Menner's life getting actually fucked with.
You get a target put on your back for sure.
Let's fucking dig into what happened this week, because I want to go right back into it, where this whole thing with Steve's parents emerged, and also just so we know, about my doxing in particular, my real nickname is Matt. So when I put it out there, I kind of knew that. I'd be easily found. So I wasn't keeping my identity a secret. It's just not very relatable saying I host a cricket podcast in the Minifan world and vice versa. So I'm happy for everyone to know my restaurant, my podcast. Bit fucked when they leave 1-star reviews, but you got to take that if you're going to put yourself out there. That's a risk. So on the Minifan show, when you're in Miami, I spoke to DEC about that missing audio. And said that it showed what a fuckhead Steve was. And, I was doing a bit of my own psychology. I know we're on that sort of line of thinking today, sort of thinking about if Steve were to do that to his parents, what kind of psycho is Kirk in bed with? And I did it to get a rise out of Steve. And I know he must have listened to the Minifan show and he must have thought, fuck, I've scrubbed that audio. And he must be lying about that again.
Yeah, he says he didn't.
I am surprised if he never thought about it. Because like I said on the show, we've brought it up. So in my mind, if a lie I told came up, I'd be like, oh, shit, I hope they don't look at that. You know what I mean? It just seems like natural instinct. But
And then when early Kirkman said he was and actually after the Minifan show, I went in to try and find that bit of audio, and I couldn't find it, but I actually didn't twig that it was scrubbed. I thought maybe I got the episodes mixed up in my head, and then I thought, I'm not going to listen to the first 10 episodes to find a little bit of audio.
Right.
And so early Kirkman said he was re-listening, and I sent him a message. If you find this audio, send it to me, because I didn't want to get Steve suspended or fired. I wanted to embarrass him and make him feel uncomfortable and make him talk about something that obviously he doesn't want to talk about. And actually, I hit pay dirt, and I actually got him suspended. So it went better than I thought. And I'm going to say this now. I don't want anyone to go off script and go outside the show. But if anyone ever comes across anything like that regarding Steve, please send it to me, because we are only
still out for blood.
We're only one controversy away from getting Steve probably done. He'll leave, be fired, whatever. So if you come across anything, it's got to be within the world. No personal stuff. No outside the world stuff. Just send it to me, and I'll send it to Kirk when he's better.
What is the genesis of all this? Why?
So I thought about this. The reason is, and actually Blind Mike will understand this, and actually it's very pertinent today, the way Kirk was treated at Entercom. And I'm a super fan. You don't listen to a guy from Boston unless you really like the guy. So I'm a massive fan of Kirk's, and everyone else around him is a sideshow. So if Kirk would have walked in when he gets back, say, you know what, Steve and Mike are gone, I'm getting a whole new team, would be fine. Would forget about it in a second. It'd be like Stephen Mike.
Maybe like a couple days, right?
Yeah, but so when Kirk started at Barstool, I was very skeptical. Now, Mike, I knew from Trash Talk. Steve, never heard of him, coming from conservative radio, this fucking whack job that lies all the time and is terrible on air. And those things haven't changed, by the way. He still is terrible on air and he still lies all the time.
He's good.
But I do not hate him as much. What?
I don't agree with it, but
he was better actually. Swinging Dick, Steve, on Friday was pretty good. You know, he sort of walked in with that swagger. But yeah, I'm very skeptical whoever Kirk works with, because they've all fucked him over in the past. Less skeptical of Mike, because I knew where he was coming from. And I think it put a lot of that skepticism on Steve. He fueled it by being a lying snake. And in the last week, he's just been suspended for, putting into effect the biggest cover-up in the show's history. So I've been proven right. Steve, I don't hate him as much anymore, because he, reached out, and yeah, as I said, if we can get him off the show, fine. Otherwise, let him live.
Steve definitely won this skirmish, though, Manners.
What are you talking about?
So, all right, listen, if you're put it from Steve's perspective, what was his goal? To prevent that audio that he believed would be hurtful to his family from ever being heard again. He accomplished that goal. Sure, he got suspended for 3 days. His fan base is stronger and bigger and more galvanized than ever, and he's back. And Kirk clearly, I don't think, is really holding it against him. So Steve won. He really did.
I think every time something comes up, Kirk's going to jab him with this.
That's fine.
I might do it. The next Australian Minifan special, I think we're going to do a sort of a slow work through that missing audio, sentence by sentence, just kind of stretch it out.
Here's my question. I would recommend an Aussie Minifan pretty soon, because we're throwing everything up on YouTube. So
is Menners as bad as those assholes who will watch the U.S. Open and call the PGA if they see an infraction?
That's kind of what he is, yeah.
No, I'm just very protective of Kirk, and Steve is a snake. But
now, actually, Manners, can I ask you to just say things that I think would be funny with your Australian accent?
Let's not do this.
Can you just say, I can't believe they were giving away so many lollipops?
What?
Just say, I can't believe they were giving away so many lollipops.
Mayo, fuck off. The other thing is, Mike,
that was funny too in the accent.
You saying twice during the week, I don't like Manners actually trying to get Steve fired.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I wasn't trying to actually get him fired. I was trying to embarrass him and I found some treasure that
And then I'm
this
fine with. And
exposed
I got
crime.
you. I got you there,
You
man. You're
you
right.
piling on
You're
saying
right.
that did not help me. And
I
I'll give
apologize to you
another
on
thing,
air. Did you
Mike.
not hear that?
When I said to Steve, I want him to fall through the ice and die in Madawaska, I didn't really mean that. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it once. I'm not being serious. Shh.
No,
as
well,
Kirk
I
would
said
say.
what I said on air when I said that I apologized after because I said I didn't
know,
know.
I know.
I thought you were working with the guy to dig up that shit.
No,
Like, I thought you guys.
now it's official. If you find any dirt on Steve, send it to me.
All right, so now I say, hey pal,
As if it wasn't serious
Within the show.
Right, of course. Manners, you did a great job. Even though you came in here with a bitchy attitude, like why are these assholes? You got us to talk about other things. I like it.
But just to go back on Steve, like on
Yeah.
Friday, he was talking about murdering puppies. I mean, he's a fucking psychopath.
Right.
He's a sociopath. I actually hope this whole sort of suspension thing helps him grow up, because he needs to get over this constant circle of lying and I don't know. He's fucking just the whole thing on the dog on Friday sent me wild. The fact that he was talking about slicing dogs' throats open and that not being murder. Well, I mean, who is this guy?
And I kept trying to get them to look up the definition of murder, but he kept saying that murder has to be attributed to a human being, which I don't know if
Someone
that's
looked it
true.
up on
I think
Twitter. and
murder
posted
is
it.
more of
That
like
is
a
the technical
like
definition.
a legal definition.
Okay,
Yeah, it has to
and
be
he's
a
right.
person.
Then Steve.
Yeah, no, he's technically right. But hey, Manners, my question for you was, when you got doxxed, I noticed, it shows that like you've done like CNN stuff, all your cricket stuff and whatnot, like big news segments.
Yep.
Is that something that you still do? And if so, would you be able to, work some show references into one of those appearances?
Ooh,
Yeah,
great
yeah.
point, man.
I go on the radio usually most of the weeks talking about cricket, TV sometimes. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, slide some references in. That should be easy enough.
Yeah.
Just
No one will get them. It'll just be like me.
Yeah,
It'll be like
exactly. That's the
Mike
thing.
shouting
You know
in the dark. I'll be giggling to myself.
And now,
Yeah.
Mike, I know we're gonna be looking for some more content in these next couple of weeks. Like I know Tim and Canton had the idea of like a prank phone call show.
Perfect,
and I know Friday we literally lit OMF up with calls like all afternoon.
Perfect.
Is that something that you'd recommend, get with Steve or whoever has it, run
Absolutely.
them, do some more, run them together and maybe put up like an hour episode of all
Yeah.
calls?
Guys like you and Tim and even me should be doing that this week, and maybe we could do a show next Friday or something. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Justin, are those guys still in the room?
TJ and Rich.
TJ and Rich Mandarin?
Yes.
All right. Matt, you want to stay on for one last round?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Menners and Andy Mayo, thank you. Excellent job, boys. You got us talking about other stuff, which I think is hopefully nice for people. I'm sure I'll get shit on, but it's my fault. Thank you, boys.
Get fucked.
Why are you mad at me, Scott?
Going out swinging.
Get the fuck out of here. I like Menners. Someone
Ooh,
suggested.
Rich Mandarin's got a hard on right now.
Oh
All
yeah,
these
he wants it.
stuffies.
He wants it.
Oh,
6 to
Now-
midnight Mandarin right there. Jesus.
I know what you guys want to get to, obviously, but I want to. It's obviously a very serious day, so I want to try and keep it on topic and talk about a very serious subject, and just say, Rich Mandarin, how have you not killed yourself yet after this fucking stuffed animal collection has been exposed? Like, that's just humiliating.
Several totes. Mind you, several totes.
They're
of
in the
stuffed animals.
closet.
How
There's
many do you
nothing
have?
As
wrong
are
with
you.
Probably like 20 to 30.
That's a lie.
A lot of
It's not as bad as I was expecting.
You said several
Animals.
hundred.
No, somebody else said several hundred.
Oh, stuffed animals look like a glazed
Stop
donut.
backtracking.
What is the origin of that? Was it a childhood thing that you just kept
It
them,
was-
or do you still
Yeah,
collect?
it was a lot of childhood stuff and carnivals, arcades, the claw game.
Carnivals.
They each
Of
hold
course.
a special
I
sample
mean, all the
of his
class.
DNA.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing here?
Get on the Gravitron. The carnival.
Assholes of these things blown out.
Oh, they look like a glazed donut, Matt.
Still intact. It's still intact.
Oh, I'm pretty sure underneath that there's a big, nice fat hole. Well, that would insinuate you have a big dick. So
Can't do that.
okay.
All right, I'll ask. I'll ask you boys, since I assume you've been watching most of the show. How have we handled it? You think we've had the right tone tonight, or?
Well, I didn't get to know Kirk on a personal level, first of all. So, sorry. Are
you insulting me or Kevin from Bristol? I can't tell.
No, the personal level was in regards to the other night there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's too bad, but as long as he can get healthy for his family, not just for us, not for us at all.
Course.
Really, it's just family first. So, as long as he can power through it, he will. He will. He's a tough guy. So, thoughts are with him.
Rich, any thoughts?
Yeah, he's strong. It's really upsetting to see that for a fan. I mean, we're so invested in this and we're so gung-ho and obsessed with the guy, basically. But, of course, his family comes first. His health comes first. It's nice that he's seeking help and that he's so open with it. Because really, you don't see major personalities being open with their mental illness.
No, not really.
And it's refreshing.
I did. It's funny you mentioned that. First of all, Rich, when you talk, I can only hear your Dale Bear impression now. It's not different enough that I still can hear it in your voice. But it is funny. How did I not notice that the entire show I've been talking to someone who not 2 weeks ago told me, "Why would you be depressed? People say nice things to you on Twitter." I forgot that this fucking idiot who's been talking with me about mental health 2 weeks ago was like, you got a few attaboys. Why would you be depressed about anything?
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
You have nothing to say about that, Matt.
No, I mean,
I'm just not a big therapy person when it comes to that. I tried it, I didn't like it, so I don't.
It's not for everyone.
I don't think you were to the extent of what Kirk is going through.
No, certainly. I said that at the beginning. Not even 1% of what.
I mean, I see. I self-admittedly, I'm coming at it from a complete different point of view this time, applauding him for seeking the help. And with you, I was saying, I didn't think you needed that.
Right.
I think that just comes down to the severity of.
I think it's all. Yeah, I think it's also therapy's not for everyone either. That is one thing. I've heard a few people say I think everyone should be in therapy, and I don't know that that's true. I'm sure there are plenty of people that don't need it and are totally fine. Or it might be like you said, it might even be detrimental. It might be a waste of your time, or you just don't like it, or whatever.
I went to therapy once, and I'll let you know that's the last time I'll go.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Go. See, it's not for everyone. I don't agree with the people that say everyone should be in it. It's been good for me so far. I've enjoyed it.
Actually, I went twice. I went for a substance abuse problem back when I was 21, and that substance happened to be marijuana.
I see. You've really curbed that in my few times meeting you. Yeah,
really. You went to therapy for marijuana abuse.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I got busted on a piss test for my then job, and what happened was they sent me to therapy to this woman that had the biggest reddest wine nose you could ever see, and I sat down and said, "Why do you think you smoke marijuana?" I looked at her and go, "Why do you drink a bottle of wine a night?" You know what I mean? What the fuck? It's just marijuana. Calm the fuck down.
You really roasted her.
No, yeah. Some of the therapists are really good out there, but some are just there for a job. And the other one I went to was a marriage thing, and that was a waste of time.
Yeah,
I'm still married, by the way.
When I went for anxiety and maybe a little bit of depression, and they started prescribing me Klonopins. And I didn't like how they made me feel. And when I went back to her, she was like, she was like, "Oh, we're just going to put you on a higher dose."
No,
I don't like the way they make me feel. It just felt like a money-making scheme to me at that point. And I was like, I'm fucking done with this shit.
Is that what happened to Rich Mandarin with the
anecdotal?
A lot of Klonopins.
No therapy yet. There's no therapy yet.
You don't need therapy.
What happened was Rich Mandarin accidentally took too many Klonopins and had his way with his Princess Diana Beanie Baby.
See, I don't have that one.
Clean asshole right there.
Are Beanie Babies still valuable, Rich Mandarin?
Some are. That
Some
Princess
are.
Diana one. Somebody said it was worth $50,000 the other day.
Well, there you go. See,
are you in Beanie Baby trading chat rooms?
No. See, I don't have a lot of Beanie Babies.
I do have. They're really small.
My favorite is the Blue Jay one.
swinging a sledgehammer down there.
You are a
fucking psychopath.
You guys asked the questions.
How does poor Latino Kirk get called the pedophile out of this group? This group of fucking maniacs.
It was probably like, hey, listen, so like a few years back, someone came across saying those Princess Diana Beanie Babies were worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I looked across my parents' living room, eyed out 2 of them. I was like, what? So I went over there, looked it all up, and guess what? They're worth about $12.
No, okay.
So, yeah.
TJ, I was saying earlier that I texted Steve from Providence to make sure you guys were still going to do that show that you had talked about. But I don't know a lot of the details. Do you want to? Is it a big secret, or do you want to say what you guys are doing? Or do you not even know about this?
Well, that might be it too. Yeah, I guess we got something going on. I don't really want to give out any details yet, and it's gonna be a topical show, but I'm sure we'll get into it and
it's gonna be a topical
fight a little
show.
bit, and we'll have a lot
Meaning
of
like
stuff.
topical
Like
in the real world.
midget strippers, strip clubs.
Oh, great!
Sex toys, stuffed animals.
See, this I like.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit.
All right, this I like. Yeah, I mean, if we want the Rich Mandarin real estate show, anything is welcome in the next couple weeks because people are going to need
dollhouses.
Steve from Providence has to have the talk every time he wants to go have sex with a woman. It's all right.
I don't even know what we're doing here anymore.
Things got weird.
Anything you boys wanted to get to? I feel like we've talked more or less long enough for tonight, but unless there's stuff you guys want to get to, because I know you haven't had a chance
you
to.
You guys said this earlier, so I'll put it up. There you go.
What is that?
That is
I don't know a monitor.
Suicide Prevention Crisis Line.
What is it? Read it off.
1-800-273-TALK.
Yes.
If anybody out there, of the 350 people watching, have a problem.
We have 350 people watching still?
It's incredible.
Not that mean Rich Mandarin on. It's probably about 6.
What a pompous asshole that I interrupted you reading the suicide prevention hotline number to say, "Ooh,
that's right. You
we've got a decent
anyway.
number of
We're
people
good.
listening to this."
We almost tripled our viewership tonight.
Oh my!
I also have another one. I don't know if we're going to talk about this tomorrow, but do you see that guy right there? Okay.
You meme so much harder than Vindog, TJ.
Let me just tell you, when you meme somebody and it's 24 hours later, you're useless. You're useless like fucking tits on a bowl. No sense of it. So
So I think we need a meme more to fill the content hole.
I got a lot in the chambers, pal.
Yeah, baby.
Attaboy.
Me more, I'll bury him.
Vindog, he's calling you out.
I've also called on TJ to start pumping some shit out for Instagram because he comes up with a lot of good gifts and shit like that that'll be good for IG.
Background check.
So
Speaking of that,
he's fine.
Hey, what did you all think
who doesn't
about,
fail a few piss tests?
Not to go glorifying our competition, Mike, but what do you guys all think about that parody account March Madness bracket? That looked pretty cool. In the videos, I thought they did an awesome job.
I do like that. I felt bad. So that Mincel Intel host was going to be on the show tonight,
John.
And then when it became obvious that the show was going to take kind of a different turn than we anticipated, I messaged him and was like, "Hey man, just figured it wouldn't be a great day for your first appearance. Wouldn't make a lot of sense to have you on." And he was like, "Oh shit, did I do?" Like he thought that him promoting that bracket was why I kicked him off. So I felt bad, but no, I think that's a very good idea. I like that a lot, actually.
I like the
I can't wait.
Hopefully, it doesn't get too ugly.
Tell you what, I'm definitely going to watch Mincel Intel now this week to see who gets placed where.
Now, who is it? Just literally parody accounts, or like would someone like you count or TJ Hubbard?
See, they told me that I was going to be in it. I would kind of consider myself a parody account because even though I'm a real person and stuff, there has been kind of a character aspect created of me, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, a disgraced president.
Oh, come on. I thought like legendary prank caller was more along
that
the lines
as well.
of where we
Legendary
were going.
prank caller, yeah. Then I gotta say the final four, the Mount Rushmore, if you will, would have to be. I know Kirk said TJ was a Mount Rushmore guy, but I would have to put MHB, DEC, Kevin from Bristol, and Steve from Providence.
I got no gripes with that.
I got no gripes with it either.
That's what I would think.
Here's the thing. There's only 4 places. There should
Right.
be at least
That's
10.
the thing. I think you 3 will also be in the top 10, I would imagine.
How come they haven't put more of the faces up on that mountain? I mean, they should be carving a couple more up there anyway.
But now let me ask you this question. So there's obviously a Mount Rushmore, which is, a historical kind of collection of men. So it makes sense that those 4 would be on a Mount Rushmore. But when it comes to a bracket, that's kind of who's there now. So would you put MHB as like a 1 seed, for instance?
Ooh.
Like, yeah, he's on the Mount Rushmore, but is he a 1 seed this year?
If you
right now? No, in 2020, no.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you would ask like 3 months ago, he was a 16.
He's an all-timer for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to make
he was in the
that's going to
NIT.
make their show very interesting this
NIT,
week to see kind of where people feel different people lie at the moment.
Right.
So I'm kind of excited for this week.
You know what, Tim from I hastily left Tim from Canton off. He'd have to be in the running as well.
See, this is what Mount Rushmore thing sucks, is because there's only a few spots.
Yeah,
you can only have 4.
Yeah,
and then Lauren Lynn's going to get a lot of favoritism because she's a woman. I mean, there's going to be
the double standard. They're going to feel like they got to vote for her just because.
Speaking of Lauren Lynn, you tried her handstand sit-up thing the other day.
I certainly did.
Comical. I will be trying it soon.
Excellent. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate that.
This is the content we need.
I don't. Well, here's the other thing. If I don't bust both my arms, I have some hands, but.
Hey, TJ, you know what? I'll say this. Thank you for doing that for Kirk.
TJ, how are the cannonballs going?
Cannonballs are pretty good. I'll be honest with you. I stood on that thing 4 times before I got the video off. Stood on the edge of that can. I hadn't done it in 20-something years, and I was scared. I've been at that pool 10 out of the last 12 days. I mean, we're going pretty good. But I stood on the side. I stood up on the end of that thing. I thought I was going to die. I mean, honestly, I was shaking, and I got video of the first one, and then I was like, okay, screw it. I did it when I was a kid. Let's just go. And the problem is I didn't want to touch the ceiling. I didn't know how high I was going to get.
I don't think you had to worry about that.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, I did get worried for the diving board for like half a second.
Yeah, no, I was very worried for that diving board.
There was one point where you're like, all right, it's gonna stop bending now, and it just kind of goes a little bit more, and I was like, what's gonna happen?
The two lifeguards on duty were definitely worried. A couple 19-year-olds are like, what is this fat guy doing? Like, just hold the camera.
It's also important to say on a day like this, TJ, jokes aside, thank God you're still with us. If I can add that as well, of course.
Thank you, Mike. Thank
you. Boys,
you.
I'm glad I had you on here. Anything else to add before we get out of here? Anything in the chat as well that we want to get to before we I don't want to cut anyone off, but we've done a lot of time, and I'm glad we ended on a funny note here, it seems like. Until someone from the chat fucking ruins it. But
I knew Matt we were talking about Mount Rushmore and the brackets and all this. But tonight, Mike and the Minifans was a Hall of Fame edition.
No, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that.
So,
definitely.
And I'm glad I made it. Thank you.
Thank you, boys, for coming on. And thank you to who do we have? R.A. Minahan, Matt Carano, Kevin from Bristol, Ned Snark, Latino Kirk, you two gentlemen, Andy Mayo, and Menners. Thank you all. I think I got everyone.
Look at that recall.
I think I got everyone right.
That's a lot.
Just anything in the chat that people want us to know?
People are excited that Caller Daddy is going to be doing some of our YouTube stuff.
Yes, it's going to be me, Steve, and the Caller Daddy girls live on YouTube.
Mike, how come you can remember all those names, but you can't remember the goddamn number to the med spa place?
That's a good point. I should.
You should. You should try to remember that.
I should. You're right. That is in poor form by me. The reason I didn't do it is because I worry about because I memorized the entire ad. So I just feel like I'm going to fuck something up if I also try to remember the number. But you're right. I probably should remember that. Okay, go to my friends at peakimagemedspa.com, by the way, in Boston and Braintree. So they're Minifans, so I don't feel bad supporting them today. Anything else?
Yeah, one last thing. I don't know if anybody brought it up previously, but it was cool to see the Barstool Reddit that's usually very critical of Kirk and the show. They were pretty supportive, which was
were they good?
Actually nice to see.
That is nice because I mean Reddit's usually a cesspool, so it's nice to see them stepping up when they need to, you know.
And I really only saw one person on Twitter say like, "Just do it already," and that person got fucking lit up.
Oh, good. It's just a miserable cunt that has a sad life. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised there weren't more, to be honest. Though I mean, just the Kirk's form of comedy. I'm surprised there weren't more people who thought they could take that kind of crude angle at it.
Yeah. And even I thought about even opening with a joke like that, but I was just like, it's not the right off the bat is not the time. Now we can do it. Now I can say, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo,
I mean,
baby.
I felt like we probably should have opened or should outro to McLean is your home, but I didn't know if that was insensitive or not.
Justin,
I was told it may be in poor taste.
If Justin can get it, let's vamp for a few minutes while Justin pulls that up. That is a great point because we usually end on the Mike and the Minifans outro, which we weren't going to do anyways. But that is a great call, Matt. I got to say, what did you guys think of the Chuck Denver? Did anyone remember me saying that? Am I an asshole?
I remember you saying it, and I caught myself singing it in the shower yesterday.
Really?
And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with me?"
All right, good for Matt Carano then. Good for him because I had no memory, and obviously Kirk didn't either. I had no memory of me saying that.
Yeah, no, you definitely did say it. I think it was very throwaway. Like,
okay, all right. Well, good for Matt.
Oh my god, extremely. Like how?
Good for Matt for being perceptive.
He took a $5 idea and made a $5,000 song out of it.
What do you guys think of Carano wanting to be a second producer? Think it's a good idea?
I would say him if he wants to, but for free wouldn't be too bad.
I mean, the show's gonna grow.
Yeah, right, as the show gets bigger, I don't think it's.
And you guys were looking for a salesperson, so I mean,
I'm already doing a show tomorrow. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean?
Dan Patrick has like 15 producers.
Yeah, that's true. But and the thing is, with Steve maybe he's not stretched out. He's pretty good, but I mean, think of all the stuff he has to do. I mean, some of it should be relieved.
There is
compensated accordingly, though.
Yeah, Steve makes a good amount of money from what I hear.
That hurt you to say. It stings a
little.
No,
it hurt me. It hurt me when I said the other day. When I was like jokingly saying like Steve gets his ass kissed, I go, he makes 5 times what I do, which might be it could be an understatement. I'm not 100% sure what he makes, but I may have been like selling him short there.
Does he pay for his own healthcare?
Jesus. I don't know if Barstool gives me healthcare or not, but we got that up, Justin, or no? Okay, cool.
Hopefully,
all right, boys. At least. Matt, great call on the outro. I appreciate you. The executive producer of the Mike and the Minifans program. Everyone who watched, thanks for joining. I hope I didn't fuck this up too bad. And like I said, everyone that came on, including the 3 of you gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And, it's going to be a weird next couple weeks, but we're all going to get through it. Steve and Michael, get your kids home. Don't worry.
We're all a big family, bud.
Yes, exactly. So good night to my dysfunctional family, and thank you for coming on.
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Patrick just wanted to have you say that they're doing something on the Discord for Kirk with a video series.
Doing something on the Discord? They don't.
Yeah, they're collecting like videos to put together like a get better montage or something along those lines.
So you guys go to the Discord. I'm sure anyone here is probably already subscribed, but if you're not, I think it's kmsdiscord.com/join or something like that.
It's basically Patrick, tricking people into signing up for Discord.
A shyster. Someone's got to make money off this, baby. Come on. There's money to be made here. Attaboy, Patrick. That's what I like to hear. All right. We'll talk to you throughout the week on Mike and the Minifans or whatever other shows I do.
Hit the post, Mike.
See you later, boys. And with the folks that brought you Steve Murdered Me, here's another smash hit. McLean is your home. Take it away, Justin.
There's a patient at McLean, lives in a world all of his own, broadcasts to no one every day. He thinks his show's a microphone. He made up stories deep and wild, told me his co-host could not see, said his producer was from Maine. It was just a mop he called Big Steve. He would not believe us when we told him his mother and father had disowned him. Said Dave would go do-do-do-do-do. Kirk, I'd say you're at McLean, this'll always be your home. I walked into his room one day. He was bundled up from head to toe. I asked him why he dressed this way. He said, ice fishing I must go. He jogged in place near every day. The only thing that calmed him down. Then dripping sweat he'd turn and say, some guy named Bob was going down. He truly believed he ran a podcast. He dialed prank calls into an old hat. Said Dave would go do-do-do-do-do. Hey, I'd say you're at McLean, you're never going home. This is your home. There was a day he seemed upset. I witnessed something very strange. He closed his eyes and took a breath and jumped in front of his model train. Of all the anger I've observed, there was one thing I thought was great. From their bowl they made him smile. His two goldfish, Harry and Kate. Old Kirk was a handful and a menace. He challenged the mop to a game of tennis. Said Dave would go do-do-do-do-do. Kirk, I'd say, this is McLean, it will always be your home.